is the ordainer, which is the bank, which means that a small amount of money is paid to the credit guarantee fund, like the money paid for an insurance, so that with the breaking of the bank, liquidation of the bank, would pay an compensation to the current account holder, which today, in the case of Brazil, is limited to 70,000 reals per person. The seventh mechanism for protection of current account owners is the payment to people if the bank breaks. This can be foreseen in the legislation, or if it is not foreseen in the legislation, it's possible that the judiciary, fulfilling the gap of the law, decides if the current account owner will be the last to receive, or if you'll have the right for restitution of the money because of the kind of deposit or the type of operation he had with the bank. We have news that in Spain and in France, the precedents are restitution of the money. In the United States and England, there's a great resistance to this idea. In the case of Brazil, the Minas Gerais judiciary recognized restitution. We had the Supreme Court with the minister outvoted, who will be speaking to you tonight, and we're going to have certainly the speech for the Supreme Court through Minister Joaquim Barbosa or Minister Luis Fux, because both decisions are with them at the moment about this theme. And there is a palliative method of control of inflation, or an increase of representative currency, which is to increase interest rates. The developing countries is widely practiced. We have meetings of Copon of the monetary policy. Oh, we're going to increase the interest rate half a point, down half a point. The interest rate is not what the banks practice when they loan money. It serves only as a guideline for the banks when they're going to charge the interest rates. This palliative method is completely inefficient for a simple reason. When we increase the interest rate, those who are going to get money from the bank tends to say, the loan will be too expensive. I won't get that money now. But that doesn't avoid the production of representative money. It doesn't avoid it. And the amount of money increases. The banks have to disperse this money at some time. They do this with low interest rates. So this great amount of money means, once again, accelerates the production of representative money and can bring crises like those we have already seen. And with the aspect, that increase of the basic interest rate, which we know as Selic, affects the public accounts directly. The states which spend more than they earn need borrowed money, and they can draw debts abroad or internally. They can borrow money abroad, or they can borrow money inside the country with the Brazilian banks by issuing papers. The greater the interest rate, the basic interest rate, the more the Brazilian government has to pay in terms of interest. Less money is left for investments in education, health, transport, basic sanitation. We can get to a double confusion, and which affects the two government periods which we experienced, of both political parties. Brazil, in this government, has chosen to reduce the external debt, foreign debt. We don't borrow money abroad. We have chosen to borrow money inside the country. That is, the foreign debt of Brazil is zero. Brazil is a creditor, and the internal debt is very high. It has increased. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to say any more. The Brazilian government borrows money at 3%, and it borrows money from the Brazilian banks at 12%. We have 9% difference. 9% interest more we pay to Brazilian banks instead of investing in that which matters to the Brazilian population. And more than this, we're going to exercise our thinking a bit further. If we capture the money at 12 from Brazilian banks, bringing in these resources, BNDES, Caixa Econômica, and we allow these banks to loan money to private initiative, especially strong economic groups, chosen at the decision of the boards of these banks. At 6 or 7%, this means that the state is borrowing it at 12 and loaning it at 7. It's a loss for the state of 5%. We're not talking about millions, we're speaking of billions of reals. Finally, and closing, we have the mechanism, the sixth mechanism, which is the credit guarantee fund. It's just like an insurance. The banks give a bit, the credit guarantee fund collected 26 billion reals. That is what the fund has to cover for Brazilian bank breaking was 26 billion reais at the beginning of 2011. If all the Brazilian banks, or a few Brazilian banks, break, this is what the credit guarantee fund has or had to guarantee the funds. Do you know what they did? They allowed this fund to loan this substance of this insurance, the insurance of the current account owners in Brazil. They allowed them to loan about 20% of this money, a bit less, to the controllers, the holding of the Silvio Santos Group for the Pan American Group. An institution which does insurance should follow the rules of the insurance companies. They're subject to inspection of SUSEP and control of the private insurance. And when they receive money for the insurance of a car, they have to keep some of the money, because if the car is stolen or it crashes, the money has to be there for payment. The insurer of the banks got the money for payment of the current account and used up 20% of these resources, loaning it to one company. This is not the object without charging any interest, because Silvio Santos is a very nice guy. The Pan American, and it was loaned not to the bank but to the holding, and they never put any money into the fund independently of the break or the liquidation of the Pan American Bank. Why can other banks break and Pan Americano can't? Without direct link of the loan money to the holding, to the restitution of the money to those who had current accounts, in a complete deviation of the purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just an example that we have to think about the direction of commercial law, the future of commercial law. It's not that which somebody in an office puts on the paper. The future of commercial law is to study operations, financial operations, try to understand a bit about economics, analyze legally the economy. Only in this way will we realize what is happening in the financial market, what is happening in the economy, so that we can take the measures or adopt the measures necessary so that the true purpose of the money should be met, which is to bring joy, tranquility, health to all of us consumers. I ask you, when you go to the banks to make an investment or to deposit your money in the bank, Did any manager say to you, "Can I loan your money?" Did any manager inform you of this? Sometimes not even the manager knows this. That is, where is the basic principle of the consumer, which is a basic trust, especially the principle of information, knowledge by the consumers. So I leave these thoughts so that you realize the importance of this, which is the legal analysis of the economy, so that we can do here in the law school and throughout all of Brazil a reformulation of the law, so that we are not just studying that which is already very well known, but that we can also understand that which is done behind the scenes, or that which is carried out in economic activities in general, so that we can practice justice and law with greater efficiency and firmness. Thank you very much.